Hello folks, and welcome to another episode of Watch Time LA. Because of the extreme heat we've been experiencing out here, here's an example. It's 104 degrees right now at 10 a.m. It's going to cool down to 100 tonight, and that is about 5 or 6 degrees warmer than it is in Death Valley. And because I use my garage as my studio and where I do all my demonstrations and repairs, it's not a good place to be right now. So I thought I'd do something different, a little short video on some shopping. And before I do that, I thought I'd show you Watch Time LA's new website. Check it out. Have a lot of things on there about lots and lots and lots of reviews all in one place. You can find all my reviews here. And there's also a link here to my eBay store. If you're interested in any of my hobby watches that I do, you'll find for sale all kinds of watches that I've reconditioned. Some are new old stock, some have been repaired. A lot of them are fashion watches, some of them are recreations of watches that I've made from other watches. Everything from digital, men's watches, women's watches, you name it. I always put something new there all the time. There's a Seiko on there right now you might want to check out. But I thought we'd do some shopping today, specifically for one of the watches that is nearest and dearest to my heart, and that's the Timex brand. I have had a Timex watch for as long as I could remember, going back, probably when I was a kid. And I would say that Timex has been on my wrist probably longer than any other watch. In fact, every other watch I've ever owned combined. Probably mostly because of the reliability. I mean, you throw battery in it. The last one I owned for, I should say the last one that I wore for any length of time. I think I wore it for 7 years straight every day except for on the weekends. And I only put a battery in it one time. In fact, I just put that battery in it not too long ago, and it's still ticking. But they are putting out some pretty interesting pieces, and I thought I'd go over some of their new releases. And when I say new, most of these watches are not even on Amazon yet. And with that, why don't we go ahead and get started? I went through the website and I found a couple of things, and you'll see where it says new here. Now, the Waterbury line specifically is not new. They have had other Waterbury models, and you will find them on Amazon. However, I was not able to find this guy. It's a very interesting timepiece. It's kind of retro looking. It's got the two pushers, and it's got some sort of PVD coating on it. Not sure quite what it is, but like any coated watch, you're always going to have issues with scratching. But that being said, we'll take a couple of close-ups of this as well. It has a pretty unique style, I would think, for a watch in this price range. Now remember, all Timex is a quartz, unless you have an old one. This one happens to be a chronograph, and here's the model number right here. For those of you who are interested, it's a retail price of $129. Now, I don't know how it's going to appear on Amazon because I never followed a new Timex that has just been launched onto Amazon to see what they were going to go for. But I would guess that it's going to go for somewhere maybe 20 to 25% less than that. Let's look at some of the features it has. It says it's a chronograph, leather strap, water resistant to 50 meters, a date window, stainless steel, and the ye old Indiglo. This is something that Timex seems compelled to put in every one of their watches, and we'll get into that in a little bit. But if you go to the specs on this watch, there it is at the top. First thing you see is Indiglo. It has an all stainless steel case, a date feature, and they're so proud of this, they put it on there twice. It measures to 1/20th of a second, and then it says it again, genuine leather strap. And 40 dimensions are 42 by 12. with a lug width of 22 millimeters. So it's got a pretty robust band. You can put a lot of straps on there, probably change its look quite a bit. Let's take a couple other views of this watch. I've set them up already. Now here's a close-up. We can get a real good view of the dial. Now you'll see a little distortion right around the edge here. I'll show you why that is in a minute. But it's a darn good looking watch. I mean, I love the cream colored dial and the offset of the dark red, kind of almost a blood red indices, and they're outlined in black. They really stand out. This little, I believe this is the 1/20th second hand, you'll see is painted red at the tip, black, and here's your crosshairs, and black second hand, and these really pronounced hands with, I hope, lume, and we have an outer chapter ring as well. The date, for some people like this, some people don't. You have the date here at 4 o'clock. I happen to like that as an accent on most watches. It's either that or most manufacturers wind up sticking it right here, right in the middle of the three. I think it's a good placement. And they have your double dot here at your 6-hour mark. I think that's another interesting feature. Now let's take a side view of this watch. You'll see why we have the distortion. It has a domed mineral glass crystal. Now, while this looks pretty cool, actually it looks cool in that picture, and it kind of looks cool in that picture, and I think it would look really cool in person. A lot of problems with these domed mineral glass crystals, don't say that fast 5 times, is that they tend to have a ton of glare. And I don't really like glare on watches, but otherwise the watch has a real nice case design. Not totally unique, but a little bit. Maybe the way this is shaped right here. And if you look at the size of this watch, and you wonder why, with Timex's roots as a mechanical watch, that they just wouldn't even try to make a new automatic watch, to break into a field where a lot of guys like myself who've been buying these products since the early 60s, hey, we want a retro watch. We want it to look like this, but come on, guys. Try an automatic. It won't kill you. So there we have the different looks of that particular watch. So the question is, would I buy this watch? I probably would. Maybe. Not quite sure, but I think it's pretty good looking. You know, I like the steel case. I just wish they wouldn't have coated it. I think that's the killer for me. Anything coated is going to scratch. Anything pure stainless is workable. You can take the scratches out of almost anything, even if it's highly polished. Let's move on to the next new Timex. By the way, I don't work for Timex. Have nothing to do with Timex. I'm just a enthusiast. So the next watch that really caught my eye was the Allied Coastline. Now I don't know if this is a newer version, but I cannot find this watch or this item number anywhere else but on this website. So I take it that they're trying to get into the dive watch field, but of course, again, although it's an all stainless steel watch, it has well, here's an interesting thing. When you see the specs on this watch, it says adjustable stainless steel bracelet, water resistant to 100 meters. Indiglow, of course, it has to have the Indiglow and date window. And Indiglow, now they're Indiglow nightlight, Indiglow dial. Now, I don't know if they mean that you can use this as a nightlight as well as it lights up the dial. I'm not quite sure what it means. As a quick date feature, meaning that you can set the date very quickly. Full stainless steel bracelet, as you can see right here. It is not a folded over one. 100 meter water resistance, 43 millimeter case, 12 millimeter height, and a 20 millimeter band size, so you can change it out with just about anything. It has a case-shaped round mineral glass crystal. I don't know why I have such a hard time with that. And top ring material. Okay, so this is the bezel, aluminum. They're calling it a top ring. Now, what's interesting is you see the bezel very clearly here. We'll take another look at it. Here, I believe, yeah. And it's obviously a coin bezel, and I have no idea. I assume it rotates. It looks like it rotates. It also looks like it's lined up pretty well, but you never know until you get it. Let's take a couple of closer looks at this thing. So here we have some extremely bold arrow hands for a minute hand, and I don't know what you would call this style here, but again, it looks like there's loom. I don't see any kind of loom on the bezel at all. I'm assuming that maybe these major indices are loomed, and who knows, even the numbers. I love the fact that it has a 24-hour marker, a relatively bland outer chapter ring, and again, all stainless steel construction. I really think this is cool. Now, the problem again, here we have, they're obsessed with this Indiglo thing. And, for a dive watch, even a swim watch, I would think some people might think it's okay to try that feature while they're swimming or underwater, just to kick around and see if it lights up underwater. And of course, you know what's going to happen if they do that. If you press this in, you're going to get water into the watch. So I think of all the watches that they make, if they were going to refrain in some way, if they could not put the Indiglo feature in any watch, it should be this one. But they just can't do it. They just simply can't do it. And they have a couple of models. Again, here's the blow up. Very attractive watch. I mean, if it didn't say Timex there, and it didn't say Indiglo, of course, would you think this was something else? And if so, what? They have two different models from what I could see. They have this one. They have this one, which is really nice looking. And if all of this is loom, again, we won't know until someone buys one of these and does a review on it. We won't know if these indices glow and how well they glow. At this price point, who knows? I'm sorry, the price point here again was $119. So we have that, and then we have this version, all black. Now, I think they're kind of trying to, I don't know, you think they're trying to tackle the SKX in some way? Could be. Maybe the poor man's SKX, although SKX isn't much more money than this. I mean, I got my SKX for $179 all in. They have an MSRP here of $119. We're talking about $60 difference for an automatic Seiko as compared to this, typical quartz. In fact, they just tell you it's a quartz movement. Who knows? Most of these watches are made overseas, and I'm sure it's some sort of Japanese quartz, but they don't say. So that's it for the Allied Coastline. I think it's a cool looking watch. Would I own it? Maybe. Not for $119 though. For $50? Maybe. $119? No way. All right, let's look at the next offering from Timex, their newest line. Well, guys, what the heck does that look like to you? That looks like, to me, exactly like a Seiko 5. It's pretty darn close. I think Timex has decided to go after Seiko. If you look at the Coastline before, and this Allied 40mm, and I think this whole Allied line, the entire Allied line, might be new. They have a bunch of different references in a bunch of different colors, and some of them look completely different than this. But if we look at the specs here, we have a rugged metal case, date window, watch resistant to 50 meters, and there it is again. Gotta have the Indiglo. Indiglo nightlight again. Indiglo light up watch style. I'm dying to know if there's really a difference here If they're literally saying this thing will light your way, I'd be surprised. Quick date feature, durable metal case. Okay, so when they say metal case, that means it is not stainless steel. That means that it's some sort of base metal, could be pot metal, could be anything, prone to pitting and whatever. It has one of the nylon straps that I think maybe Seiko made famous, who knows. 11 millimeter case height, so it's pretty thin, 40 millimeters, which is pretty good size, 50 meter water resistance, and it says it's case material low bead brass. So there you go. It is a brass case, but they must have done something to it. So it's not only brass, but it's coated. So this, no. The specs on this are not good. But are they going after a Seiko 5? Well, it's bigger than a Seiko 5 for sure by 2 millimeters, but you can get a brand new Seiko 5 automatic for $59. I own one that I bought for that price. So would I buy this watch? I don't think so. First of all, I don't think every watch needs to glow in the dark. I mean, there's one thing having a lume, but that you need a night light in every watch, I don't think so. But let's see really how hard they're trying to go after Seiko 5. Here's another reference, same model. Look at that one. Does that look like the Seiko 5 with the tan band and the cream dial? Looks like it to me, only this one's a chrono. They also make this in a non-chrono version. And look at that one. I happen to own the cousin of this in the Seiko 5 version. Again, this is a coated case, which makes me cringe a little bit. I love the contrast. It's not a bad looking watch if you're just going to buy a watch. But would I buy this watch? No, I wouldn't buy this watch. And just because, I don't mind the homage to the Seiko 5 at all, but not for that price. I mean, for $29, maybe. $69, no way in the world. Let's look at the next reference. They have what they're trying to look like here. I'm not quite sure, but it's kind of like a titanium thing they got going here. Let's look at some of the specs on this one. Got a chronograph, adjustable stainless steel bracelet, and look at that, in the glow. 100-meter water resistance. Now, this is their allied chronograph. Okay, so this is the chronograph version of this. Okay. And let's look at the size to see if it's pretty similar. So this is wider, 42 millimeter, 20 millimeter, it says lug width, but that is where the bracelet goes. 100-meter water resistance, low bead brass. Again, so it's a brass plated case. No, let me rephrase that. It's a brass case that has been PVD plated. And here we go again with their description: in the glow night light with night mode. And then it says in the glow light up a watch dial. And here they repeat again the 1/20th second. So someone has to look and see what they're doing here as far as these repeated things that they seem to put throughout the website. So let's take a look at that one again. Not a bad looking watch for sure, but again, you got a plated. You have a plated watch. I love the contrast. I love the dial. Love the style. Not too crazy about the material on this watch. And would I buy it? I can't think of any need it would fill for me. And again, it seems like no matter what they do, they just cannot refrain from sticking a night light in every watch that they make. And I think it's starting to cheapen the line. It's not a novelty. It actually works if I'm going to a place that I don't know and I'm taking a watch with me. I'd like to take one of my Timex in the glows, because in the middle of the night, if you're in a hotel, you just tap the button. You don't have to use your phone and blind your eyes With your phone, you could just tap this. It's very nice. It's very subtle. But, you don't need it in every single watch. I have 4 Timexes, and they all have Indiglo, except for the wind-up one that I have. So let's look at the next model that I saw that caught my eye. And that's the Timex Fairfield sub-second. And I think this is a real breakout for Timex. $89 MSRP, and there is a sub-second dial. I think this is a first for them. For a dress watch, it's pretty elegant looking, I think. And here's something very interesting about this watch that you can't see by looking at it. Definitely retro. Let's look at this. Look at the case design. It's very cool. They added a, looks like rose gold tint. I don't think it's rose gold. And there's something weird going on with the stitching down here. It's a weird, they put it on their website, so it is what it is. And here's a close-up in another color. The hands are about as minimalistic as you can get. Looks just like a couple of pieces of stainless steel. And these might be applied indices. In fact, I would say that they are. These little orange dots here. And the rest of it, this outer chapter ring is painted. This happens to be a gold PVD plated one. Again, I'll tell you I don't particularly like plated watches, although I own a couple. And I try and keep them safe. I don't ever do anything around the house with those watches if I can avoid it, or at work even. So, but this is this is called their Fairfield line. They have a bunch of different models in this line. And let's say they have that color, they have this color, and they have this combination. Out of all of them, this is my favorite combination. I'm not a big fan of the rose gold thing, to be honest with you. But, this one doesn't look too bad. So let's look at some of the specifications. Leather strap, water resistant to only 30 meters. And look at this, on a dress watch, Indiglo light up. Let's look at the specs. Indiglo night light with night mode. Indiglo light up. 30 meter water resistance. Okay, so I'm looking for what this thing is made out of. Has a polished finish. That's interesting. And again, we have low bead brass. So this is a chrome plated brass. And, probably not going to look too good in a while. 41 millimeters, it's a great size. Case height, only 8.5 millimeters. It looks a lot deeper than that. Looks deeper than some of these other ones. In fact, let me pop over here. No, it's about the same, I guess. But it's a cool looking watch overall. So let's get back to this one. Would I buy it? At $89, there's no way. Is it a $25 watch? Probably. But do you really need to put a nightlight in a dress watch? I just don't get it. If you look on their website, you just see one after the next, after the next, after the next, and if on all of their digital watches light up, and it seems like every watch they make, it's like they think that this is helping them, and frankly, I think it's hurting them at this point. They need to break away from it. What I'd really like to see Timex do is, guys, come out with an all stainless steel watch like this. Come out with an all stainless steel watch like this, and perhaps even try making it automatic. I think you'd have people standing in line to buy it. And whatever you do, don't stick a light in the damn watch. Doesn't need a light. If you could put some good lume on this watch, there's no reason for it to need a light. Anyway, that's what I found on the Timex website that was brand new. This is a little filler video, so I can wait for the temperature to drop below 100 or triple digits so I can get back out my garage and start working. And one of the things I do in my garage is I get ready and list things on my eBay site, which is, you can type into eBay Watch Time LA, and you'll come to my website and or my eBay store. I have all kinds of watches in here. Watches for your kids, watches for your family, watches for your wife, watches for you. And I guarantee them 100% for 14 days, unconditional money back guarantee, as long as it's not for some silly reason, like a couple of them that I've had recently, where the watch is too small, the watch is too big, whatever. And I always point out that when I do post a watch on eBay, one of the things I do is I make it very clear that, for instance, this one, put it right next to a ruler with both inches and millimeters. And I still get people saying, oh, the watch is smaller than they thought, or it's bigger than they thought. Look, guys, I can't do any more. If you can't read a ruler, there's really nothing I can do for you. But anyway, I go through them, I polish them, I clean them. In many cases, for instance, in a watch like this, I would have taken all the guts out, put it in a sterilizer, and then put it all back together, because you don't need to get somebody else's cooties, right? Well, anyway, that's it for this review. That wasn't a review. I mean, that's it for this video. Hope you enjoyed it. And if you did, let me know. I'll make some more, do some more watch shopping for you. And if you didn't, let me know. And if you have any questions, suggestions, or anything like that, please let me know in the notes below. And most of all, I do these because I enjoy them, and I hope you do too. And what keeps me going is subscriptions. So please, guys, so when you're on one of my videos and you're reviewing it, please make sure that you take the time to subscribe. And I appreciate your time. And we'll talk to you later.